But they did whole armies, and of course he was the one that organized the Continental Army and helped us win the war. And for that he was given, and I think I'm correct in saying 44,000 acres in Remsen. Does that sound right to you?
16.
What?
About 16,000.
16,000?
A whole lot.
You got 16,000?
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
But who owns it now, Doug? I mean, well,
it's a state site.
Oh, it's now become state-owned? Anyway, he was given this land to say thank you. Land was something we could pay people with. Because as a country, we didn't have taxes yet. We didn't have a way of paying people, right? So we had to pay them with something, so why not land in upstate New York, right? But anyway, this monument, we've really done a lot of work to. I was a little bit mean to Dave Short because he had a lot of dwarf conifers here that weren't doing all that well. Bird's nest spruce and a couple of funny little blue spruces and this and that. A little odd lot, an assortment of various things. And the only thing I left, I slowly did it. Well, he said to me when I started working here, he said, well, would you help us with the Parkway? Would you help us do a little weeding or something? and then he said, well, would you help us do a little planting? And then he said, well, would you plant the whole thing? And then he said, well, would you maintain the whole thing? And that's actually what we started really doing, is maintaining the bulk of it. We don't actually do all of it. There's like the monument that was the missing in action still. Cheryl and her crowd are helping with it, but they come over sometimes and do some work there. The actual veterans work on that a little bit. But what I wanted to do here was make this very colorful. It's been a tough year with the drought, I'll tell you honestly. But this is a euphorbia right here, and you've probably seen it around the city in my other gardens because it's a puff plant that makes a nice edger. And it's not the diamond frost, it's blushing pink, which is related to the diamond frost euphorbia. It's an annual. And those, of course, are snapdragons. And I love the snapdragons for their height. And all the growers we buy from the farm there, River Road on Marcy, and we buy from Alcott's and Waterville. When I first started working with this, Dave said, you can only buy from Lowe's in Utica. It's got to be a Utica business. I said, but Lowe's is not exactly Utica. And he said, well, yeah, but it's in Utica, so it counts. And I said, well, what about local people growing, like, you know, like Alcott's, like Brad Alcott? And so luckily, eventually, he let me start buying from Brad Alcott and from Jan at River Road. We're able to get a bigger diversity of plants, but the problem is nobody wants to sell or grow tall plants. They want dwarf compact plants. And I want plants with height, like that State Fair zinnia. Wasn't that pretty? Yeah. It was about this high. You could see it. Everything's down here now. You can't see. Yes, it doesn't flop, but you can't see it. It's down there. You know, you drive by. Where is that garden anyway? So I want things with height, which means we have to cut the dead branches and twig it up. You can see twigs everywhere. Do you see them? We stake it up because it flops. You know, you love your delphiniums, but you have to stake them. You love your peonies, but you should stake them. We don't. We're too lazy. But these were original to the design, the peonies, and I love peonies. So at F.D. Proctor Park, I put in tons of peonies because the peonies, the Saunders peonies, Utica's kind of known for their peonies. If you didn't know, we have a famous propagator, the Saunders. What's her first name, Mary Lou?
Well, Sylvia, you mean?
Sylvia Saunders, right?
Well, no,
No.
it was her father who started it.
Tell us a little bit.
Gee, Percy Saunders. He was the second son of 5 of a man who had been brought from England to Canada to hybridize wheat that would grow on the Canadian plains and have a shorter growing season. And this man, Percy Saunders, oh gee, I know a lot about him. I know a lot about him, but I forgot.
Mary Lou is a great local horticulturist, botanist, and you're with the Clinton Garden Club, right, Mary Lou?
Yeah, I am.
And she is, but she's also very knowledgeable and is very involved with Root Glen up in Hamilton College, which has a display of the Percy Saunders. Sorry, I always thought it was the daughter that was in charge. I like to give women more credit sometimes. I can't help myself. But it was her father that did it, and she took it over somewhat.
Right.
Yeah. So if you ever get a chance to go to Hamilton College, it's open to the public, Root Glen. When the peonies are in bloom, they're all tree peonies, and they are stunning. They're just knock your socks off, and they do stake theirs. We don't?
They don't.
No,
They're not staked.
they don't need steak.
Oh, they don't need staking. Well, we need staking here, and we don't do it, all right? But at any rate,